again to the Real Collective podcast, the real estate podcast, where we talk about real estate in a podcast. I'm Brendan McKeigan. With me, as always, is Sean Tasse. Sean, how are you today, my friend?
You know what, Brendan? As I say often, any better, and I would cancel my OHIP.
Wonderful. To our American friends that are listening, that's when your country takes care of you. It sounds really harsh right off the get-go, doesn't it? Yeah, but it's so funny. Like, what do you mean? What's wrong with your OHIP?
Yeah.
Do Canadians have an OHIP and like an FHIP?
It's as you walk, it says of.
Yeah, exactly. Of hip. Anyway, the important thing is that we're doing well. And beautiful weather lately, which is wonderful.
Snow's all
which
gone.
leads to a changing in the market, and it leads to some people maybe daydreaming a little bit.
Yeah, man. It's
including the realtors. And I thought that's what we would talk about today is maybe your realtor leaving money on the table.
Hot fire spitting out. So yeah, the question is, when you're on the selling side and you receive an offer, how, as an agent, do you work that offer? Right? How do you squeeze it for as much as you can? How do you negotiate for the benefit of your seller client to ensure that you're getting them not just a done deal, but a done deal, and like you say, not leave any money on the table? So
Exactly.
it's it's negotiations. That's really what we're paid for. It's a skill, and the good agents are earning their commission by doing this well and by doing it right, and the bad agents aren't. And the problem is, whether or not your agent does the work. If you're a seller and you don't know if your agent's doing the work or not, you get a sale, you might just be satisfied with, hey, I sold it for the list price. That's great. Or I sold it for $20,000 less than it was listed for. But, my agent overturned every stone, worked every potential lead on it, did everything they could to try to maximize the money for my property. And that's the thing, is some do and some don't. And we're part of a bunch of different realtor forums where we hear agents complaining, hey, this house sold, 1 day on market or 0 days on market, or the first day that it hit the market. And I would have bought it for myself and paid more if I would have had a chance to come to the table with it. So I think a lot of it has to do with this idea of the prices are coming down, and so you have to sell quickly and just take whatever you can get. We started doing our monthly market updates, referring not only to the changes in year over year, but also to the changes in month over month. So you could see, okay, well, sure, the prices might be down year over year, but they're actually up month over month. We're starting to see some more seasonality hitting, right? We're starting to see the prices coming up as all of this snow melts, and there's more buyers out there now, right? There seem to be more people who are out there looking, and you've got to work all of those leads when you're the selling agent, because there might be somebody who who's willing to offer more than the offer that you've got in play.
Yeah. And I think part of that too is we're getting to see a little bit more stability in the market. Like, just, like you said, we're getting into spring market. We're getting into month over month increase. And that's kind of typical of the spring market. And, homes are going close to, if not slightly above asking price, depending on your strategies. Obviously, you list a house for $1, you're going to get what the house is worth. So, but it's true, it's unfortunate that sometimes, like, oh, okay, so they got an offer and that was it. Like, that's great to hear, but did your realtor call around and everything? Oh yeah, they did. They called everyone who showed the house to see, told them that we had an offer, and if they were interested to put it in. Great, fantastic. Because it's not like it's that difficult of a thing to do, or shouldn't be anyway. And I think that's part of service. Like, that's part of what you're doing for your client. Like, And especially when people do have to sell in a hurry, sometimes, that's the strategy, especially around this time. You got military postings that are going out and people have to like sell their home quick. And sometimes that means you get a little bit of a bargain on a house. So on the buying side of things, at least.
Yeah. Well, that's why we never like to represent the buyer and the seller for the same property, because we're obviously always trying to sell our listings for as much as we can, and we're trying to help our buyers sell the property for, help them buy for the lowest price that they can. And obviously those two things can't happen simultaneously on the same house. But they just they posted the rates earlier this week. We're recording this week. This video will be posted next week. But they posted the rates earlier this week, and there's again no change in the Bank of Canada overnight rate. And what that means is that variable rates for the second announcement time in a row do not go up after going up. I think it was 8 times in a row. So another exciting sort of opportunity here where buyer sentiment will likely continue to pick up as we hit the spring market. And so there's a bit of a disconnect here where I think some buyers still think, oh, well, I've got time to wait. I can, not worry about it too much. And, I'll be patient and the right place will come. The problem is, if the right place comes, it's probably the right place for other people as well. And so you kind of have to action it sooner rather than later, or else you'll miss out on that perfect home for you and your family, right? The idea of the general public thinking, oh well, prices are going down, so if I just keep waiting, then I'll be fine. I don't think we're going to see the prices go down again until they've gone up, and that's going to be based on a typical market seasonality, right?
Yeah.
So I especially with the rates holding still, I think if the rates would have gone up, then that might have had a negative impact on the prices as we saw last year. But the rates holding still is going to likely leave the prices to work their typical seasonality. And there's even talk that either towards the end of this year or at the beginning of next year, that the rates will be going down, and that will have a further positive impact on prices. Now, I've also spoken with someone who said, hey, you need to buy as much as you can in 2024, 2025, and 2026 because, real estate prices will all be coming down. And I think that might be true Canada wide, but we're always a little bit different here in Ottawa, where we're sort of
Yeah.
more. So I wouldn't. If you need to buy a house or if you need to move, this year or next year, I wouldn't use that as a reason to not move. Yeah, we've got a few different stories that I've heard from agents about houses that are selling where the listing agent is not working the offer. And I can tell you, and we'll get in maybe in the second half, about the different particular stories that happened where I've heard that, hey, there's money left on the table, and it could be a good amount of money. So we'll get into that in the second half. But yeah, it's an interesting market that we're in right now. I think a lot of people are confused about what's going on, and as a result, people aren't doing the right things.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think on both sides, and maybe that's more of a second half thing that we get into is on the buyer side of things. I feel like realtors are kind of coming to terms with home pricing and what the market's actually doing, as opposed to, maybe the end of 2022 when everything was changing so much, and like, well, what do we put the houses at? And that's why they sat there for so long. The market changed so quickly and so rapidly that there was a little bit of questions like, well, what do we do? What do we do? And I mean, we had some good success there as far as saying, okay, well, what's happening right now? Let's look at mortgage rates. What's that comparable to pre-COVID? Okay, well, let's price the homes like that. And maybe we're seeing a little bit more of that still. And we're just seeing a little bit more balancing out, but now it's starting to ride steady. And like you said, for buyers, that's going to mean a little bit of a speedier process for you when you do see a home that you like. So we're getting a little bit back to maybe that not quite SWAT team mentality, because I don't know that we're getting into 14, 15 offers on a place that's priced reasonable. But you might end up in a situation where it's you and somebody else. I
yeah.
think that's pretty easy right now.
Yeah, and the difference is if you were one of two people last year, for example, in an offer process, you might pay $100,000 more than the place is listed for. Now, if you're one of two people, you might pay, $1,000 or $5,000 more than the place is listed for.
Yeah.
Big change there. And I think, realistically, the houses that are priced either aggressively or well are selling quickly, and the places that are not priced well aren't selling or have to come down. So,
Hmm. Yeah,
uh,
I would agree there.
yeah,
Great. All right. So let's take a little break. We'll hear from us about something because we're very good at that. And maybe we'll put some reels in. We'll see. We'll see. That being said, if you have been enjoying the podcast, please like, subscribe, and share the channel, Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube. And if you want to talk to Sean or I, our Calendly links are below. We'll take a quick break and we'll be right back in the second half of the Real Collective podcast.
If you're thinking about investing or you'd like to get a really deep understanding about the particularities about what it takes to be a successful investor and what's happening right now in the world of real estate investing in Ottawa, you've got to watch this video. Now what? Click that link right down below. You can see the entire podcast where we get into the nitty-gritty of it all. And you can also click the link below to schedule an appointment directly with me if you'd like to start your investment journey. As always, feel free to give a call. The phone number 1-888-REAL585. And until then, keep it real, Collective.
Welcome back to the second half, everybody, of the Real Collective podcast. Today, we're discussing whether or not we or your realtor or anybody is leaving money on the table, either as a seller, as a realtor, whatever it happens to be. And to prove it, to reinforce it, we're going to look at a couple of case studies. Let's look at some case studies and click the link below. Yeah, that sounds like every bad training seminar.
That's what we are.
We'll take a look at a case study. The first house was on 123 Main Street. It had a price of $700,000. The seller opted to sell quickly for well below asking. What could the realtor have done? And that's how they always play out. And then it takes so long to get through them. Whatever line of work you're in, I feel like everyone's gone through those like training things where you just have to sit there and watch like a flash presentation or something.
Yeah, and you can't do anything about it until it finishes or gets to the end, and
Yeah.
then you go to press it and it's just lag face,
Yeah.
right? Like, great. Now
I feel like there should be an I know button. I know. Oh, all right.
Does it sound
All right.
like
So that being said, to get ourselves back on track, is there's been a couple of scenarios that have happened where maybe some money was left, maybe something happened, and we'll thought we'd dive into them.
I think to start with, we've been around long enough and been involved with enough sort of transactions to see how other realtors work their business. And I think the way that we work our selling business is among the best in the city. So just I'm sure of it because I've seen it. And what we do is when an offer is received, we don't just send a blast email, which is sort of the baseline that realtors do. Send out a blast email, say, hey, we received an offer. If you'd like to submit an offer, let us know. We also call every single person who's either shown interest or shown the property. And so whether that's a lead that we generated or a realtor who showed the property to a client, we go through and we call all of those people directly to say, hey, you know what, are you interested? Because they might have said that they weren't interested today, and then tomorrow they change their mind, or oh, well, hey, I'm interested, but I'm not ready, right? Who knows? And so I think that's one thing that actually sets us apart. And we expect the problem is that we expect everybody else to operate in the same fashion, and they don't. And this is a drawback for the realtor. And again, different realtors have different strategies and different people can do different things. And this isn't a slight against any particular agent, but it has to do with service, with the level of service. And I worry that this comes off as a sales pitch. But I don't think that, I think that the general public believes that realtors all operate the same way.
Yeah.
And they don't. And that's what I'm trying to impress upon you. And like I said, the basic baseline is that, hey, you know what, an e-blast will get sent to everybody who's shown interest, but sometimes that's not even done.
Yeah.
And I think that's where people start to get really upset about it, because there was a Facebook post where a realtor in town here said, I was interested in buying this property for myself, and it was just came on the market. The property was posted, and I reached out to the realtor to try and schedule a showing, see if they had any offers. No response. And the property just came out that day. I went to go and look at it at 1 o'clock, and I found out from their assistant or something like that that the property had an offer and it was being presented at 4. And so I think the earliest that agent was able to get an offer to them was something like 3:30. And so she sent the offer in at 3:30, and then the agent only at that point let her know, oh, sorry, we've sent the counter offer back to the other person at 3:30. So too bad, so sad. And of course, that other person accepted the counter offer. And so this agent, even though they were willing to offer, ultimately $10,000 or $15,000 more than what it sold for, they didn't get it. Now, the question is, did that realtor send that offer to their client? Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. If they did, that client would be livid about the fact that they were given the wrong advice. If they didn't, then they're not doing what they're legally supposed to do, which is pass along any offers received to the client. And sometimes the realtor does that just to save face, which you're not supposed to do. And the rules and the laws are broken. And the problem is, there's not a lot of consistency, right? Every agent is able to operate and work their business however they want to, and the oversight is lax, unfortunately, in this business. Maybe I'm going to get in trouble for saying that, but it's it's the harsh reality. Um, you know,
You're dealing with people's homes. That's it's the largest investment you'll ever make. But I don't think it's hard to say you're going to get in trouble for calling out people that are messing with people's lives like that. Like,
but
that's malpractice. That's malpractice, really. Like, if you whatever you want to call it, it's not medical, but still.
yeah, well,
Like,
it's financial, right? And the problem is, as ethical realtors, it's not on us to call out anybody's business practice or any other agents. So, anyways, if I get in trouble, so be it.
yeah.
Whistleblower. Toot toot. So another scenario is, there was a tenanted property that hit the market in one of the outlying towns, and it was a tenant occupied property. And of course, as a result, you need to book a showing with 24-hour notice to give notice to the tenants. And so one of the agents on the team actually booked a showing for that property to show it to an investor. And whatever, let's say it came out on a Wednesday at 4 o'clock, and his showing was booked for Thursday at 5. Like, it was one of the first possible showings that could get going. And the before he could go and show it, the property was conditionally sold. So it's like, okay, well, the property was conditionally sold on Thursday at 3, and so his showing Thursday at 5 got canceled. And the list price on that property was 289.9, right? And is there a chance that if that listing agent could have had, let's say, 3 or 4 people through, and there was even 2 people who wanted to bid on that property, is there a chance that it might have sold for 301 or 305 or something like that? Absolutely, right? And that has everything to do with the listing agent running the show properly, and how to work an offer and how to negotiate and how to, bob and weave in such a way that your seller client benefits, because $15,000, is exactly the payable commission on that house, right? So the full going rate. And all you have to do is work the deal properly, is manage the system properly, is to get more people in. Hey, great, thanks for your offer. We're going to delay it. Of course, ultimately, it does become the seller's choice what they want to do. But a lot of the times, the seller is going to rely on the agent. Hey, what should we do in this scenario? And if you've got 7 or 8 showings lined up and you've got a full price offer on day one before anybody's even had a chance to see it, the advice that you're giving to your clients is pretty, maybe you want to just wait on this one, or like string them along a little bit.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, and I can't. It's hard to fathom that this is being done. Like professional realtors are just saying, "Yeah, you know what? I just want to get this place sold. I just want to get this done and over with." And they're looking at it maybe on a more selfish level than professional level.
yeah.
You add another one in. I can't imagine not wanting multiple offers, because that's just going to clean up any kind of offer. Maybe
Well,
not entirely, but a
yeah.
little bit, you would hope.
And again, you hear the general public saying, "Oh, well, I had a realtor and they sold it fast, and you guys just want to price it low, sell it fast, get your money, and get out." We heard that multiple times from multiple different seller clients, and it's the reputation that we have as a result of this is how some people operate, unfortunately. One more case study to hit you up with is there was a property that was again, another multi-unit building in one of the outlying areas that that Elliot, one of the agents on the team, wanted to buy. It was priced at 375, and it was on the market, and he went to go and show it and showed interest in it before it sold, and said, "Hey, you know what? I'd like to put an offer on this property." No response back, no call back from the agent. They had an offer. They didn't call him and tell him, "Hey, we've got an offer. Would you like to submit?" Nothing. No communication. And so it sold. It sold. It firmed up, and closing was supposed to happen, whatever it was, a week or two ago, and the people who bought it didn't close. And so, oh wow, okay, it's back in the mix. This is great. So Elliot books a showing, goes to go and look at the property, and lo and behold, oh hey, I've got 3 offers on the property. Okay, well, do you want to ask me for an offer? Like, is there, and I've got 3 offers on the property. This is the day it comes back onto the market. And, no chance, again, no chance for Elliot to submit his offer. And, is there a chance that he would have paid? It was listed at 375. Is there a chance he would have paid 4.25? Maybe. I don't know. You'd have to ask him. You can find his calendar link below. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want to hear the whole story, there's likely more to it than that. But again, it's a listing agent who's dropping the ball, and don't want to say the property or the listing agent because I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. But this is the problem for the general public. This is what people don't see. These are the results that they're getting that nobody is sort of pointing a light to, because the reality is their perception is their reality. And hey, I sold it right away. I listed it for 375. My agent told me that's what it's worth. It sold for 375. I'm happy. Right? But is there money left on the table? Because the agent is just doing the bare minimum and using the, oh, it's a slow market as an excuse to say, hey, you get what you get and don't be upset.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would think one of the best questions you can probably ask a realtor when you're meeting with them about listing your house is, once we have an offer, what do you do?
Yeah.
Not what do I do, but like what's your process? Oh,
Yeah.
I'm glad you asked. So what if we get an offer? Obviously I'm going to look at it. I'm going to tell you that we have an offer. I'm going to tell we can go over it, but then what I'm going to do is call everybody who's shown the house and let them know that we have an offer. See if they're interested in submitting one, and then we wait. So it's a little bit of a waiting game. And if they do submit, great. Then we're in multiple offers. I can call that first person back, offer number one, and say, hey, I've got another offer. Would you like to revise? And go from there.
And in that conversation, tact and skill will win out every time. So when you're calling the other agents, what do you do and what do you say as an agent to drum up those other offers, right? Because you can just say, hey, I've got another offer. And maybe it's a great offer, maybe it's a so-so offer, maybe if there's a thing that you can say that will get someone to actually come to the table as opposed to saying, you know what, no, we're not going to compete. Maybe there's a way that you can get somebody to come to the table, and and at first either it bumps up the first offer or the second offer comes in better, or maybe they end up playing a game together. Like, there's a lot of skill and tact that's required in negotiations as you get to that point. And that's where your listing agent earns their keep, right? I know that I can negotiate for my seller clients better than what I charge for my rate.
Right.
So,
Yeah. And at the end of the day, you net more.
bingo.
That's all it is. And I mean, when you talk about getting that second offer or shopping it around or whatever it is, now you're basically saying, hey, listen, we talked about this and we've talked about what commission paid out is. And obviously, you know that. Now we've got another offer, and it's almost as if that commission's being covered now.
Right.
So
Yep.
ask the questions of your realtor, find out what their game plan is, and make sure that they're implementing it. And it's tough as a client or a consumer to know that. You should be relying on your realtor, or just hire us and don't worry about it.
Or you know what? Whatever. Don't hire us. Just hire someone who's good. That's all. It doesn't even have to be great. Just at least please hire someone that's good. That's all. That's all. But if you do want to hire someone that's great, our calendar links.
That's right. They're both below. I think that's a good spot to wrap things up. That's the program, everybody. So don't be shy about asking your realtor all the questions. We're used to it. And if they're getting defensive about them, maybe they have something to hide. I don't know. Just saying. Listen, this has been a lot of fun. But if you're having a good time and you want some more, go back and check out some of the other episodes on our YouTube channel. We really appreciate that. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the channel, and download us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. That would be fantastic. And there's Sean's waving hand going all the way around the room. If you're listening to this, you didn't see it. More reason to subscribe on YouTube. Anyway, we're going to wrap things up. I'm Brendan McKeigan. This is Sean Tasse. Until the next one, keep it real.
Selective.